And that was Tearing Out My Heart by NSYNC. You're listening to Loud on Real Side Radio. This is your girl Sandri, and I'm here tonight with a special guest. You guys might know him already because he's been here before. I'm so happy to have your JT, John Tarak Babangida.
Yes.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Buonasera a tutti.
Now you're gonna explain. Then I'm gonna explain that as well. So, guys, Jean is a professional footballer, educator, mentor, public speaker, and businessman.
Yes.
You were born during the Civil War in Congo, and then you moved to the UK at the age of 5 years old as a refugee. And today you're also the CEO and co-founder, if I'm not wrong, of The Art of Survival.
Yes.
And you're always around Europe, around the world,
yes.
and the UK as well, because as a professional footballer, you're very busy in doing all the matches and all of that. How is it going?
It's going very well, thank you. I remember we were just talking before, and I literally just flew in from Italy.
Yeah.
So I'm based there for now. I think the last time I was on the show, I was actually I just come back from living in Spain.
Yes, so, Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, exactly, south of Spain. So very busy, very occupied all over Europe and stuff. But I've always loved to come back to England. It's almost
home for you,
it's home, and I have the majority of my friends and family, and I grew up here. So happy to be here again. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure. There's always every time there's always more stuff happening. So it's good. It's good. So did you manage to follow the World Cup?
I did. I followed the World Cup religiously. I wasn't in the Messi camp, so I didn't really want Lionel Messi to win the World Cup. But
who were you supporting?
Initially, I was supporting Senegal, in all honesty, and then when they got knocked out, supporting Morocco. I'm an African man, so I have to support the continent first and foremost. And then when they got knocked out, I was for France. I wanted France to win, and unfortunately they didn't. But it was I think the final in itself, it will go down in history as one of the best finals, because it was a great match. And although I didn't want Lionel Messi to win, because as a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, it kind of settles the argument of the GOAT. But I'm very happy for him, and he deserves all his success, man. He's a phenomenal player.
Okay.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Good. I'm not even gonna comment on that because I haven't followed it. I'm not really But a lot of people are actually very passionate about it. I feel like it brought the whole world together.
It did. It's amazing what football can do.
Yeah,
it just brings everyone together.
That's true. So how is it like to be on the other side instead? Because obviously you're competing. Because obviously when you watch it, it seems so easy. It's so fun. But it's actually a proper job. It requires dedication.
It is.
It requires commitment.
It is.
And discipline as well.
What people need to remember, I think, it's funny that you asked me that question, because when I watch football with people who are not professional footballers, or people who just haven't played football in itself, they don't really understand the difficulties of it. They don't really understand how hard it can be at times. You have to remember that these are professionals, so they're not there just by chance. These people have been training, have been working all their life. Some have been training since they were 8 years old. So if they're in this platform where they're playing the biggest competition of the world, it's not easy at all, and it's very difficult to win that competition. So my advice to all the fans watching the game, as someone who plays the game, our job is to be entertaining. Our job is to provide smile on people's faces, and to do what we can so that we can win for our respective teams. But at the same time, you have to understand that just like in any other job, mistakes can be made. Sometimes you're not feeling 100%, and people make the excuse that, but you get paid so much money. Listen, we don't choose the business that we're in. Our the talent has put us in this position. At the end of the day, as much as it is a sport, it is also a business, and it's a very lucrative business. But we don't control necessarily how much we make, so on and so forth. So just remember that we are also human beings.
Yeah, of course. And also, sometimes you might have like high expectation,
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
as you say, well, it might be you can never control it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
You're gonna have stuff going on or whatever.
It's
and
normal. It's part of the
happen to the best as well.
yeah. It's part of the competitive nature of the game. So that's all well and good.
What
Yeah.
is the most challenging thing in this field?
The most challenging thing, I think the most, not just being a footballer, but the most challenging thing about being a professional athlete is having the right mentality, having the right mindset, being disciplined enough. It's easy for you to get to a position, and I think this relates to every job or every field as well. If you've done well for yourself and you've managed to find yourself in a position where you're earning good money and you know people know you and so on and so forth, it's easy for you to say, well, I've done enough. You know, I don't need to do anymore. I've done enough, and you become content. But as a professional athlete, you cannot do that, because the moment you do that, someone else is going to come and replace you. And I feel like this approach, if everyone had this approach in their day-to-day lives, meaning in the work that they do on a day-to-day basis, a lot more people will be ahead in life.
Yeah, that's true. It's not only related to football, isn't it?
No.
People hunger because it's a competition.
Yeah, it's a competition. It keeps you on your toes, so you always have to be disciplined enough to be in the best shape, be motivated enough to perform to the best of your ability, so that you can stay in a job, basically.
Yeah. And also move forward. Otherwise, you just stay still. You don't grow. You don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So talking, it's funny that you said that, because that was actually my next question. Because I know that you're also very involved with different things that you do to empower the community, young people, but also you're very involved in talking about mental health as well, right?
Yes.
It's something that is very more and more common, and it's something that is very important as well. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, why do you think it's important to speak about this topic, and how do you apply that to the things that you also do? Because obviously sometimes you can't, as you were mentioning, right, preparation, exercise, having the right mentality, but your mental health can also have an impact in your performances.
Yeah.
So how do you explain?
It's a very, 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 very good question, and I'm glad you asked me this question, because I was actually planning on speaking about this today. I think no one has the word mental health has probably been the most mentioned word in the last 2 years or so, and it's become somewhat of a buzzword. And I feel like we'll get into a point where we're using the word mental health as an scapegoat. The reason I say that is because there are people that generally do suffer from a form of mental health disorder, and there are people who just have a very poor and weak mentality. My personal opinion. And I think I'm in a position to say this because I used to be one of those people. Let me give you an example. Something can happen in your life, something tragic, and obviously it will affect you, because you're a human being, you have feelings, it will affect you. But there are certain people nowadays that will use that and they will claim that they have a mental health issue. You don't have a mental health issue. You know, you have to be, in life, you have to be mentally tough, mentally strong enough to overcome whatever it is that has happened to you. And a lot of people, a lot of young people as well, have now fallen into that bracket of just using the word mental health, and that's it. Like, I'm not feeling well. Strangely enough, I was talking to one of the young people that I was mentoring, and they're 20 years old, so fairly young, still discovering themselves in a way, and they had been given a task to complete by a certain period. The excuse that they gave to the person that they had to report to was, "Hey, I'm so sorry, but I cannot complete this task because..." What did they say exactly? I'm trying not to misquote them. They said something along the lines of, "I cannot complete this task because I'm struggling with mental health, and I just had an argument with my mom, and I didn't like the way she spoke to me, and now she was basically saying I'm struggling with mental health, that aspect." I spoke to the person. I said, I don't think it's fair for you to use that as an excuse. We all have times in our lives where we might not get on with someone, or we might lose a family member, or whatever tragedy has happened to you. You have to be able to overcome that, you know, especially if it's pertinent to who you are as a person and where you want to be in your life. You have to be able to say to yourself that, no, I'm going to be strong enough to overcome this feeling. And sometimes mental health, though it is an actual thing, but we need to get out of the we have to get out of the position of continuing to use that as an excuse. And I'm actually very, very worried for the certain millennials and Gen Zs of this world, because it seems as if they've become very, dare I say, lazy. I remember talking to someone about me being someone from the diaspora. As you know, I'm from Congo. And I just remember speaking to the person about how our parents had to move from their respective home to move to Europe, whether it will be Italy, whether it will be the UK, France, whatever, in order for us, the children, to have a better life. And I just wonder and ask myself, if that had been the other way around, if that had been us that had to leave home, what we know as home, and move to Europe in order to find a way to make life better for our family, whether we would have been able to do it. And in this current generation, I don't think so.
I am actually doing it. Anyway, I understand what you mean, because I believe yes and no. Yes and no. Why? First of all, I think that obviously back in the days maybe it wasn't dynastic, like as much as it is today, so we didn't really have a lot of knowledge about it. So maybe our parents or that generation suffered from it, but they didn't know and they have to push. They didn't have any other, option to just go forward. They say you didn't have any, support, mental support or anything like that we have today.
Yes.
So as I said, obviously if there's more diagnoses around it, people are actually more aware. So I don't know if the cases are just increased or simply we know more about it, so everyone actually is self-aware of the mental stuff. But on the other way around, as you mentioned, there's a differences to having proper disorder that has been diagnosed, so they have a proper people that is competent, they have a proper degree on it, and they can tell you, oh, you suffer from this. And another thing is letting your emotional state, most of the time like a temporary emotional state, to affect your actions, and things that you have to do. So I think that's very important to highlight that. Because obviously I don't want to diminish people that actually suffer from those conditions.
No, never.
But at the same time, as you said, sometimes since it's something that we talk a lot, sometimes we don't go deeper to the thing, and we just use that term to justify just everything. Right? So I'm happy that we're actually talking about that, because back in the days it didn't exist as a topic.
No.
But at the same time, the fact there's a lot of awareness about it, sometimes it can become also...
Sorry, let me just ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you say that our parents have a form of... they suffer from trauma that they haven't healed from?
I cannot generalize.
Yeah.
But I can say that some of them probably are not aware of some stuff that they might have experienced, and the effect they have, is bringing to the current state or other states.
Yeah.
So they have to live with it. Whereas for us, as we are very aware, we talk about therapy, we talk about trauma, PTSD, whatever, we can recognize some signs. So I can actually see on myself, sometimes I can say, oh, that person, I think, and then we talk with that person, it's actually confirmed to do that. Oh, okay. But our parents didn't, not all of them, but some didn't really have knowledge about it. So they might have found a way to live through, which is resilience, just go, but not all of them. So we're actually blessed because we have a lot of support, a lot of knowledge. If you need help, there's help. Well, back in the days, probably people that actually were suffering a lot from different conditions, maybe were struggling to find help.
No, but that's my point exactly. I do believe that parents, some of our parents, are suffering from traumatic experiences that back in the day, it would have been a taboo to speak about and everything. But now they have the opportunity to do that. Similarly, or on the other hand, let me say, are the children of today are exposed to that information, and I feel like with some of them, not the ones that generally do suffer from a form of mental health disorder, but there are some that have now been exposed to the information and that are using it as a way of them being or becoming a bit lazy or a bit acquiescent to what society deems as mental health. And I feel we've lost a bit of mental toughness that our parents have had in the past, and if we can find a way to find a common balance or a nice medium between the two, of a strong mentality and not a weakness in mental health, then we can progress forward. That's just my personal opinion anyways.
That's so true. I actually very agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's put a little bit of music and then we're going to come back with more questions.
Sure.
Next song.
Alright guys, we're just taking a little break. Let me show you what's going on behind the scenes. There's the Queen. Can y'all see her? She's the one that's in charge of all of this right now. Asking me the difficult questions.
It's always prepared. I always have an answer for it. Even at the tricky ones.
Yeah.
I always have an answer for that.
Allora. See, I'm learning.
But are you still on? Jean Tarak Babangida. Guys, we're talking about different stuff on backstage. Talking about Italy, because obviously as a footballer now you're currently there. Playing with your football team,
yeah.
So you keep on traveling. We're talking about mentorship and mental health. But I wanted to ask you, something that is more related to the future, right? Because obviously we are. Is it the 23rd today? So tomorrow is gonna be Christmas Eve, isn't it?
Christmas Eve, yeah. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. It's very exciting.
Next week we're going to the New Year.
Yes.
Oh my God, are you ready?
I'm very much looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, me too.
Whenever I get towards this time, I'm just like, okay, let's get to the new year so that we can start new things. I'm very excited. Yeah. Me
too. I know that there's so much that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Personally, I know, and I can feel for you too.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I personally, what I normally do before the end of the year, and then I try to check, to see, evaluate during the year and also at the end of the year. The year resolution, right? We want to have our wish, our goals, the things that we want to work on, the things that we want to better in. So, what do you think about writing your goals? Is it something that is working for you? Do you do it often? Do you don't think that is important? How do you find that?
Listen, I cannot stress enough how important it is to write down your goals. You have to write them down. You really must write it down, because let me explain to you something. When you write down your goals, what it does is it crystallizes it for you in your head, because the energy that's being transported from your head to your hand from the time that you're writing it down, it makes you believe in your goal even more, and it gives you this burning desire of actually wanting to achieve that goal. When you don't write it down, it stays in your head. It stays as a dream. But when you write it down on paper, it makes it possible. It makes you believe that it's possible, and that's what is important. I'll give you a quick example. Not too long ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Obviously, I was working in Spain, Gibraltar, and everything, as we just mentioned. And I'm always someone that I have high expectations for myself, and I wanted to earn a certain amount by a certain period, right? What I did was I wrote down that number, wrote it down paper. I stuck it everywhere, man. I put it in my toilet, I put it in my kitchen, I put it in my bedroom, on my ceilings, so that every time I wake up, the goal is in here. I know what I have to do. So you don't even have time for distractions, because wherever you turn, you see it, and you're reminded of what you have to do in order to achieve it. Listen, also, there's this thing that happens in the universe when you write it down. it's almost as if you're communicating to the universe, and the universe has a way of making it happen for you. So I wrote that down. You still have to do the hard work. A lot of people think that writing it and that's it. No, you have to do the work, okay? You have to go and do your homework, do whatever you do. Do whatever you need to do in order to make whatever you've written down come true. So I wrote it down, I stuck it everywhere. And when I tell you, in about less than, I think it was around 8 months or so, I received a phone call from someone in the industry, and they were proposing, their proposal to me was not even the number that I wrote on the paper. It was double that.
Oh wow.
It was double that. And honestly, that's when I realized that, yeah, the power of writing down your goals is really, really important. Is really, really important. Not only does it motivate you to actually work towards the goal, because it's no longer a thought in your head, but is that you've actually have it on paper.
Yeah.
But it also transmits the energy to the universe that this is what I'm working towards and this is what I have to do. I'll mention one other thing as well. When you are writing down your goal, say for example you want to lose weight, right? That's one of your goals, New Year's resolution, whatever. Do not write your goal down in the way that you say, for example, don't write it down and say I want to lose weight by this time. No, write it down like this. I say, for example, you weigh 90 kg and you want to lose 10, right? Don't say I want to weigh 80 kg. Write it down as if you already weigh that weight.
I'm doing it tonight.
Write it down as if you've already achieved it, right? Write down I weigh 80 kg. It does something to your subconscious. You know,
that's true.
Your metacognition will function in a way that it will make your dream possible. Also, another reason why you should write it down, there's something called the reticular activating system, short RAS for short, right? The reticular activating system is a tool that you have, that everyone has in their brain, and what it does is it makes you, whatever it is that you possess, it makes you see it more. What I mean by that, for example, you know, sometimes when you have a new car and you're driving, and for some reason you seem to see that car everywhere.
Yeah.
You seem to see that car more, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of these cars. There's always been a lot of them cars. It's just that now that you're starting to notice it because you possess it. That's your RAS working. That's your reticular activating system working. So that's why it's important to write it down. Write down your goals, write it down on different pieces of paper, stick it around and have it somewhere, and that would make your subconscious work.
Okay, that's very interesting. I love what you said about, you know, writing down stuff, because I do it constantly. I do it as a main goal of the year. I just write down the long-term goals.
Okay.
But then I do the plans. So I'm like, how am I gonna achieve this? So I'm gonna write down, oh, you know, this month I have to do this. This week I have to do. Today I have to do this.
Yeah.
So let's say that in the day I didn't do everything that I was supposed to do. I know that tomorrow I have to do double, so that I'm still, you know, on track with my goals. And then by the end of the month, after 2 or 3 months, 6 months, a year, you can actually see the result, because sometimes we don't see it fast, so we can be discouraged. But if you see, you know, the progress, they said that, oh, today my goal was this, and a week ago it was this, and now I'm already there. You actually feel motivated more, because you see that you actually been doing things. Yeah. So that's what, because otherwise you even can forget sometimes. You're caught up from the everything things, the routine, you know, day-to-day things. So sometimes you can forget. But when you have everything done, it just it reminds you, like, hey, have you drank your water today?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, have you read today? Have you messaged that? Have you done? So, and that helps you to be, you know, on the move. And then because obviously if you don't move, you don't achieve that stuff.
Exactly.
So they're not gonna happen like that. So it's very important to write stuff and then move towards the plans. You know.
Always have a journal next to you as well.
Yeah.
Always have a notebook or journal, because you never know when you might have the urge to write.
Have you bought yours already for the next year?
For the next year? No, I don't. What I do is I don't tend to buy a new one every year. Okay. I just tend to use like one, the one I already have. So the one I actually have doesn't actually have a specific year. Okay. It just has a journal, because what I like to do is I like to when you spoke about your progression, right, to see how you're improving and everything, there are certain things that I've done, let's say this year, that next year I would like to go back on and to revisit.
Yeah.
And so I'll keep it all in one notebook. Yeah. It works for me. I know everyone has different ways,
Yeah,
but
I have
it
different
works.
ways. Okay,
It works
but
for
at
me.
the end of the day, you know, you get there anyway, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as everything is written, you
Yeah.
can track
Yeah.
your progress and remember what you're, you know, working on. You're gonna achieve everything. And as you
Yeah.
said, the manifestation as well. I can actually feel the energy because I think it's the positive mindset as well. Because
Yeah, man.
that's also the principle of fate, if you want to call it like that. That
Of
you're
course.
already seeing it, and then it happens.
Of course.
So talking about that, I know that obviously your faith is very important for you as well.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that in your day-to-day life?
Faith is an interesting thing, man. Faith is one of those things where you don't see but you believe. You know, you don't see but you believe. And I can't stress enough again how important faith is. The thing with faith is there are times where your faith will be tested. Me personally, myself this year, I believe my faith was tested this year more than any other year for me personally. Yeah, it hasn't always been easy. But it's exactly at that moment that when your faith is being tested, that you have to show that you actually do possess it. You know, because everything, our body transmits energies. The moment you lessen, you don't use your faith, it will take away whatever opportunity you're trying to achieve. You know, there's a saying that goes, everything that you don't have, you lose. That's why when people go in a gym, they work different muscles. So they might work the upper body, the lower body. You have to work with the muscles, otherwise you will lose them, right? So every skill that you have, you for example, you're a wonderful radio host. You know, you speak very well, right? Now, if you don't exercise that skill, you will lose it. You know, it's the same thing with faith. You have to exercise faith. Even when you don't see a way out, you have to exercise faith. The moment you stop exercising faith and you begin to lose it, you lose the opportunity as well. You know, that's why you have to keep on having faith. Keep on having faith, no matter how difficult it gets. And it does get difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But you have to keep believing. Because if an idea has been put in your head, God has put that idea in your head for a reason. He hasn't put that idea in your head because of a fantasy or no. It's because he wants you to see what is being prepared for you. But if you lose faith, then you won't achieve that.
Yeah, you're gonna draw basically. You're gonna stop panicking.
Exactly.
And, yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're very vocal about it, because you're not ashamed, and you just carries you everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So how much do you think is important to identify your values, and just highlight and become like core of your personality or your brand, if you have a brand, or your personal brand? Because obviously, can I call you a public figure already? Is it just it? But how do you how do you navigate that as well?
Well, let me just say this: everyone has a brand.
True.
Every human being has a brand. Now, the value of your brand or what people think of your brand, that's dependent on you. That's why I say it is very important to identify your values and know who you are. So your character, right? By identifying your values, you get to build your character. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Believe it or not, I never used to be good at football. Well, not never. Wait, let me give myself some credit. I wasn't the best footballer growing up. I didn't make the school team until I was in year 10. I couldn't make the district team. I struggled from low self-esteem. If my mum's listening to this, then she can phone in and testify. I struggled from really low self-esteem. But in the position that I play as a professional footballer, I'm a defender. As a defender, you can't afford to have low self-esteem, bro. You cannot. Your job is to defend your team, to defend your goal. Mentally, you have to be tough. And I wasn't that. So what I had to do is I had to identify my values in order to create my character. What I mean by that is I had to look at what it is that I want to attribute to myself. So I want to be disciplined. I want to be trustworthy. I want to be, what other values do I have? Hardworking. I want to be a leader. I want to be vocal. All of those, that's what helped me build my character. When I tell you, when I am on that football pitch, there is no one that's better than me in my head. Even if even if there might be a general consensus that someone is better than me, in my head, you're not better than me. That's the character I've built for myself, and that's the character that I take to my work. You know, outside of work, I choose to be a different character if I want to. Everyone has a choice to be the character that they want to be. If you are someone who is spiteful, if you are someone who's a liar, if you are someone who is never on time, if you are someone who loves to bash people, if you're just overall a negative person, that is because you have chosen to be that negative person. You have the power of choice. You get to choose who you want to be. You get to choose the values that you carry, that you carry, that will then build your character, and it will then build your brand. I'm blessed that everywhere I go now, I'm respected because of the brand that I have put upon myself. I hold myself in such high regards. That's why I came here today in a suit.
You're always in the suit.
Because it's important, you know.
Sure.
First impressions count. So what people see of you, that's what people will retain from you. You know, they say that what is it? How does the saying goes? There's a saying that goes something along the lines of God sees the interior, people see the exterior, right?
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I present myself in the best way possible.
That's so true.
And this is the message that I try to give to young people as well. You're going somewhere. You've got your hood up. You've got your trousers halfway down your knees. You know, people are going to look at you in a certain way, and when they do, you can't then say, why are you looking at me like that, or why are you judging me like that? No.
That's true.
Your brand matters.
That's true.
Your brand matters.
That's true. It's funny because I was having this conversation this week with a friend of mine. How is it I come from, not from here, I'm from Italy, and the situation is quite funny sometimes. But I can tell the difference when I present myself in a certain way. People approach it just differently.
Yes.
Like open, like different things. Are like, okay.
People open doors for you
all the time.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
must be nice.
But yeah, so that's actually very true. But I love the fact that you said that, because sometimes there's a misconception of I am what I am. This this is just my way of being. But you can actually change that. You can actually set yourself and say like, oh, that's the person that I want to be.
Of course, yeah.
And pick your values.
You get to choose.
That's very important. Yeah.
You get to choose. And some people make the misconception of choosing charisma rather than character. Always go for character rather than charisma. I'll tell you why. Because with your character, you do it for you. You do it for yourself. You do it for the way you want people to respect you. With charisma, you do it for other people. Your charisma, you might put on a certain charisma because you want other people to look at you in a certain way, and you might act up, or you might be in a function, in a situation where you might feel as if, oh, because I'm in this particular place, I need to act a certain way. I need to be this charismatic person in order to perceive myself as a certain kind of person, in order for them to see me as a certain kind of person. But then what would happen was, once your charisma stops, once you've reached your maximum energy levels of what you can output of your charisma, the people will forget about that. Yeah, what they will remember is your character. What they'll remember is the way you treat people, what you do, how you speak, what you say, how you dress. That all plays a part. So I think more people should aim to have better characteristics rather than aim to impress with solely their charisma.
That's true, because that's the thing that stays, right? That we actually remember about people, how they make us feel, first of all, you know, and also how they conduct themselves as well, because you can say something with your words, and then your attitudes say a completely different thing, or the way you present.
You lack integrity.
Thank you. Yeah.
Which is one of the
so-
values everyone should aim to have. Yeah.
So that's actually very true, and
Yeah.
I know that you're very involved also in empowering the community, young people as well.
Yes.
With the art of survival. That's very interesting things that you guys were doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
Thank
for
you.
the new year because I know that
Yes.
it's actually needed, especially around the community.
Yes.
So
Yeah. We're aiming to. For those that don't know, the Art of Survival UK, CIC, was a youth empowerment organization. The reason I say was is because we have changed our direction of travel a little bit. We've purely made it an educational platform now, an autodidactic educational platform, which basically means a self-learning platform. We want to push self-learning as much as possible, because if we stick to the standard ways of which we learn, we will get standard results. What the Art of Survival is all about is not producing standard, it's producing extraordinary.
yeah.
We're all about producing extraordinary. So we've refrained from using standard ways of which people learn. I know that the company is focused on young people, but this is going to be a platform that everyone can use.
Okay.
That everyone can use and learn things such as life skills, learn various things as to what one can do in order to get them to understand themselves and their higher selves. We're going to do a lot of life skills and empowerment work through education.
That's very important because you don't learn this stuff at school, isn't it? Like self-development.
That's the whole point of it, yeah.
So I think there's no limit of age. We all need sort of, getting
Yeah.
better and better and
Yeah,
trying to know also how to get the best out of us because we all have potential.
yeah,
We all can achieve great things. But even before like success, if you want to use this term, being able to feel good in your own skin
Yeah.
and to have like a mental balance, being a happy
course.
person, be also healthy, physical health, have a
Yeah.
good habits. It's just stuff that some people have it, innate. They just know how to regulate that,
yeah.
and others they have no clue. So I think
It's something that
it's
can be taught,
important,
yeah.
yes, to
Yeah.
actually create that part as well because
Yeah.
sometimes it can feel like, oh, that's not important. Let's all focus about how getting money. Let's go focus about filling your brains with so many notions. That's also very important.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, the inner thing,
The inner things,
as
yeah.
a human being.
Yeah,
So-
it's interesting you said that because yesterday or before yesterday, I was invited to a podcast show, and there they asked me a question of what is success, or what do I define success as for me, and my answer to that question was, for me, what success is. For me, success is doing what I have to do to make sure that I am okay tomorrow. That's what success has now become for me. If you had asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said something about, yeah, I want to do this, I want to be this person in the world. But then I've learned that if I am not okay, nothing that I would want to do will come true. So for me, success is doing what I need to do in order for me to be okay tomorrow. And I feel like if more people can adopt that mentality, then we'll all be all right.
Oh, that's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. As always, you always have gems. And so we're gonna just enter the new year's remembering, our core values, to not make
Yes.
excuses, to write everything down,
Write everything down,
have a
yes.
plan,
Have faith.
faith,
Yeah.
accountability,
Yes.
and to stick to your core values, isn't
Yes.
it?
Stick to your
So
values.
last line before we leave,
Yeah.
where our listener can follow your stuff. I know that you've been hacked and all of that, but where can I listen
Listen.
and find your stuff?
Unfortunately, some people don't like to see a brother doing great. So my socials got hacked, but I've managed to get that back up and running. So if you're listening to this, then you can follow me on all socials under the name King Babs. So KINGBAVS. I also have a YouTube channel where I'm going to be showing you my day-to-day life and everything that I do outside of football as well. So you can also follow me there under the name King Babs. Thank you.
Thank you again, JT. It's always a pleasure. Thank you guys for listening. Stay with us and for supporting. I wish you a very, very, very happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. Take care.
Bye.